One of the big sort of incumbent platforms that's right at the forefront of how all of this stuff works is our next rapid fire keynote. Mark O'Connell is the CEO of Interac. And remember, Interac is the one that's going to give the top 5 most active on the leaderboard a $500 e-transfer. So, and then the 6 gets that. What do they get? You guys are so excited about that. Mark oversees, everybody knows what Interac is. I mean, Interac is really what kind of puts Canada on the map globally in terms of a standardized payments process system. He oversees the operation of the coast-to-coast network. He's responsible for all of the trusted payment products. He's got extensive experience in payment, in banking, in cards. He was EVP at Emergis, which is now TELUS. He's also been on the Interac, for them, he was on the Interac Association board. But in terms of sort of the products that are offered that can constantly innovate to give customers what they need, Interac has been at the forefront. So please join me in welcoming Mark to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words, both personally and for Interac. It is great to be back at Payments Panorama here. It's also an honor to share this stage with the likes of Daryl and Linda Mantia. Daryl just made a bunch of points that are actually salient and germane to my presentation here about partnership and friction between fintech and banking, and is that healthy? So interesting food for thought there. What I love about Payments Panorama is the diversity that it attracts. All of the people responsible for the custodianship of where we go in payments, from government to payment technology companies to financial institutions, we all gather here, and it's so important, the decisions we made. It's almost impossible to imagine, given all of our calendars, but not too many years ago, our industry was actually characterized as kind of boring. It certainly isn't boring anymore. We are the talk of the street, whether it is Wall and Bay Street in terms of innovation flooding into the payments market, or whether it's Main Street. We are attracting some exciting new entrants into the payments industry. We are inspiring fantastic new technologies, if you look around the payment space. And all of us here should enjoy the moment, because we are clearly right in the forefront of our world's transformation into the digital age, and it's exciting. But the inspiration for my short talk today, given that it's rapid fire, actually comes from the geographic location of Payments Panorama being in Calgary. It's 110 kilometers just northeast of where you're all sitting right now is a small town called Drumheller. And Drumheller is known as the dinosaur capital of the world. There's this fantastic museum, the Royal Tyrrell Museum. I encourage all of you, if you have time while you're here now or on another trip, go experience it. It's absolutely fascinating. And when I experienced it, you can't help but your mind wandering towards Darwin and extinction and selection and survival of the fittest. These magnificent creatures lost their reign in the world because of a sea change extinction event. We all know what happened. Asteroids pummel the Earth. Climate change then rapidly and pervasively creates the Ice Age, and we have the end of the dinosaurs. Where I'm going with this, you can probably tell, is that many people, whether it be in the media or in the payments industry itself, and I'm not saying all, but many, feel that established players in the payments industry, or legacy, obviously using the negative connotation of the word, these players, we should all, right now, just pack up, head on up to Drumheller, put together our exhibit, so that we can show all the people in the future how payments used to be done. Well, I'm here to say, obviously, as a member of that successful current payment providers group that I think this is woefully inaccurate. Number two, I think it's eerily reminiscent of the discourse that surrounded another hype cycle not too many years ago called the dot-com bubble. And I actually think it is dangerous and detrimental to the very effective and efficient innovations that we need to bring into the market to bring this country and the world into the digital payments age. Now, I'm no Luddite, so I'll get that right out. We aren't dinosaurs. I use technology pervasively. I just bought a house. You should see the bloody thing. I can control every single thing in the house from the convenience of a tablet, and I absolutely love it. I'm the guy who voraciously uses all kinds of new payment types that mobile commerce and IoT commerce afford. And I see, though, no innovation, no sea change extinction event that actually the existing payments providers, and as Darryl said, in partnership with FinTech, aren't actually more capable of delivering into the market. And that is the point of my talk today. Exhibit A. I pay for things using this watch to the delight of cashiers everywhere. All day, I relish the convenience. This new payments innovation is brought to you by 4 established payments players and technology companies called MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and Interac. And what did we do? We made significant investments and innovations in our processing capabilities, in our fraud systems. We then overlaid the network effect, our long-standing and hard-earned acceptance and interconnectivity that the networks have, and the trust, as Darryl was saying. It's also brought to you by the old banks. They did the same commensurate investments and innovations in their back-end technology. They then overlay into this their card frameworks, their customer relationships. They provide the very liability model that makes the payment actually possible and work. And then finally, there was the technology company, in this case Apple, who brought exciting new technology and a very slick user interface, and they brought some new technology in terms of authentication with respect to the fingerprint. Now there's an innovation, and I said more than a few times, established payment players in bringing that to market. And that's just the truth of where we're going. So, now I'm going to bring it back to the natural world and the immutable laws of Darwin and what that teaches us, just to accentuate the point. And to do that, I'm going to introduce you to my friend up here, Bob. Bob is a green lizard. You've probably all seen them on your trips to Florida. Bob and his friends have been at the apex of the Florida ecosystem for many, many years. But not many of you may know that many years ago, Bob and friends had a potentially dangerous and disruptive event with the introduction into the Florida ecosystem of the brown lizard. Now, many at the time, including the lizard press, I guess, and others, were absolutely certain the days of Bob and the green lizard numbered. The brown lizard was faster, more agile, seemingly better camouflaged. But Bob and friends then acted. They made a move. And here's the important point. Hundreds of thousands of years inside the DNA of the green lizard of Florida, understanding its environment, understanding the types of trees, the prey in Florida, enabled the green lizard to adapt quickly. They increased the size of their toe pads. their scales became more sticky. And I'm happy to announce that Bob and friends remain at the apex of at least the lizard ecosystem in Florida and have done a phenomenal job in doing that. You could make the same bets. I hear, I'm an animal guy, so forgive me, but I hear the same things about other ancient species. How the hell is the crocodile, the shark, the feared Sydney funnel web spider, one of the oldest spiders in the world? Each one of those species is still an apex predator because they have been able to utilize core competencies that they've always had, but then adapt and innovate at the margins to make sure they keep up with a changing world. And they're still atop their place. Now, as I said, I'm getting the same kind of bad bets or dangerous vibes, and I think useless friction going on between new and old and fintech. And everything is about fintech and the new. And that's not the problem. The problem is this notion that legacy can't be fintech, that it's an us versus them kind of scenario. And this isn't healthy. Now, I have an absolute healthy respect for all new technologies and entrants coming into the payments industry. I think it is only for the positive. In particular, I've been very congratulatory when I look at fresh new thinking in terms of convenience and user interface design, social integration, some new authentication technologies, even overlays in terms of using, whether it be distributed ledger or alternative currencies, as Daryl was talking about. This is all awesome. Many of these companies are already our partners or are soon going to be our partners. This is fun stuff. However, the problem is it's a detriment when we have the friction and there's no partnership between them, when it's seen as legacy versus innovation, as if those two terms are mutually exclusive. They are not. The mere thought that established players in the market aren't innovating or are incapable of innovating is simply wrong. Believe me, I'm the United Nations of payments sitting up here. My board, my constituents, pretty much is pervasive across the industry. I see a great deal of innovation. I see a great deal of change. I see a great deal of learning as both sides look to what the future of payments is going to be. I also, though, see a disturbing trend in that there isn't a diligent understanding of the difference between superfluous or cosmetic innovation and true fundamental core value change. It reminds me back, as I said before, of companies like Webvan. I don't know if anyone you remember, but they were going to revitalize the grocery buying experience. Well, they went through $1.2 billion in market value within 2 years and were liquidated. Same thing, Pets.com, absolutely lay down bet. They were going to eradicate the PetSmarts of the world. It was over. Burned through $147 million in 9 months, liquidated. Toys.com, the death of Toys R Us, same thing. And you know why? They didn't look at a lot of the underlying value propositions of those technology platforms and whether it was actually practical into the market. To truly win in payments, we have to recognize, it was on one of Daryl's slides, it is a multi-tenant, a many-sided market. And the table stakes of things like ubiquity, connectivity, acceptance, speed and immediacy of payments, irrevocability. These are absolutely table stakes that have to be part of any innovation or winning innovation going forward in the market today. But cynicism still exists. I think the utopia is the combination, like I just talked about with the watch. And don't take it from me, if you look at 3 of the companies that currently would have the moniker as the smartest companies in the world, you look at Samsung, you look at Google, and you look at Apple, and look at the way that they are choosing their go-to-market strategies and how they are and who they are trying to partner with. I think they have the right idea. It's funny, because even many of these, as I always fight the mythical yoke of legacy attached to the word Interac. I was laughing, I was just in San Francisco with some of them, and they were telling me, we're now being handed this moniker of we're the legacy providers suddenly. And I laughed, and I thought, yeah, but you are flourishing, you are proving my point. And when I look at Interac, I think, geez, we don't even deserve this mantle at all. We are a newbie compared to these guys, the original disruptors who are flourishing. Look at Ericsson, founded in 1876. IBM, been around since 1949. Microsoft, 1975. Apple and CGI in 76. God, I look at Interac and our partner Cisco, we're barely young adults being born in 1984. And as we look at Apple again, 1976, I tell you, that technology looks a whole lot different than the 8-bit Apple II that was the original bedrock upon their inception. But when I decided to take on the leadership of Interac, my friends and family thought I was absolutely nuts. Their sentence was, you might as well just, within 2 years, you'll be joining your friends in Drumheller, buddy. Because not only new players, but the established players are going to eradicate and steamroll you. Well, I don't know if many of you have seen our results of the past couple of years, and I don't know how much of the news you've been reading. Whether it's our indigenous IP now exported and being used in Europe, whether it's the launch of our new digital platform and mobile platform with Apple Pay, but we sure don't look like a company that is not able and capable of adapting to the new environment and flourishing. I would love to invite all of you on that point. I got to just put in a little bit of a plug here. Tomorrow we have a modernization talk where we're going to be launching and demoing some world-class solutions that are coming out of Interac that we're very, very proud of. Okay. I got 9,000. Give me a second. Need the phone? Okay. So, where have we arrived? We've arrived at the digital transformation age. It's a given. We've arrived at the Internet of Things. We've arrived at mobile commerce. And my point is, and I think Darwin would agree, that I think that aware and put into urgent gear, established payment companies in partnership with some new technologies are actually better capable of stewarding the future in payments. That word is very important. So I'm not up here saying that, oh, established payments companies, because of their history, because they have core competencies, and they're large, full of resources, they're going to be winners. No, there are going to be losers. There are going to be those that join the crew up in Drumheller. It comes down to being aware. The enemy of established payments companies is complacency. It's not the dot mobiles. You have to be urgently transforming your teams. Daryl said it as well when he was putting the retail bank beside the fintechs. At Interac, 2/3 of the company are new subject matter experts. There are less suits walking the halls. There's less kumbaya United Nations meetings and more agile stand-ups happening. That has to happen across our industry. The other 2 points are partnership. The absolute death knell of existing payments companies is the not invented here syndrome. I'm big, I have resources and money, so I can build the whole stack. I don't need to partner with anybody, I'm just going to beat you. That is a recipe for failure. And finally, and this is another area where it's the established payments companies who have the experience of respecting and playing within the regulatory environment. Very apropos here. But when you're moving money, things like safety, soundness, security, fraud, these are always going to be table stakes and something that the established payment companies can bring to any new innovation, and we're doing it today. So, in closing, as I said, I think smart and aware existing payments providers, together with chosen new fintech partners and overlay technologies, is what is going to take the payments industry into the new era. But what would Darwin have said? Well, I know he would have bet on the green lizard. And I'm here to say, looking at the payments industry, I think he would lay a bet down on the smart, aware, adaptability capability of current providers in payments as well. Because after all, it's survival of the fittest, people. It's not survival of the newest. And hype cycles, they're exciting. They can be great. They can galvanize, we're seeing it, into action. But hype that is consumed indiscriminately is downright destructive. And so my final advice to all of you is, yes, drink some of the Kool-Aid. It's good. Just don't gorge yourself indiscriminately on it. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Well, I always think that there's some point at every conference where the media gets blamed. We just hit it. I love that line, there shouldn't be friction without partnership. I think that's pretty well said.